Jerome Michael here, street corner witnessing tour, Queen Creek, Arizona, Fry's parking lot in the shade on Ellsworth and Riggs Road. And within all this, Brukata Yorubabe Henu Hamelakalam, may Yorubabe Baruch bless you, and may Yeshua fill your hearts. May he open your Pathak Ayin, Pathak Ozen, and Pathak Lebka. May he open your eyes, your ears, and your hearts. In the Aleph Tav Dam Sheh B'Shem Shom Sheikh Amen. This is most, I'll try to put the link in fact I will. I'll copy the link. It'll either be in the description part or in the, I think it'll be in the description. So you have to click on that, the description thing below and more, and it'll be in the link there. I don't know if I ever said that, but I forgot. Most people, or maybe a lot of people that don't really know YouTube, even though it's been on for years. But even me, I get kind of like, learn every day, right? As you can tell, I'm not the most creative YouTuber with a iPhone and a broke down computer. Not an iPhone, a Motorola phone and a broke down computer. But as I study, you really do need the Hebrew. And I've been listening to Thou Shalt Laugh, and you have Christian comedians now, and they're funny. I'm telling you, it makes you laugh. But again, they're Christians, and when you're a Christian, you really don't read or study the Bible, and you don't know you're Israel, and you don't know that you're grafted in, and you don't know the language or the truth yet. You're still a religious system thinking, the J word is what they spoke when Yeshua walked the face of the earth. And so you really have a lot of awakening in truth. And why this has happened, I have no idea, other than I will tell you this. Most everything we serve and do in the United States of America, and perhaps in a lot of the world, or maybe all of the world, is due to the rebellion that we exited out of the Garden of Eden. So we quit walking with Yodevabe Elohim, and therefore he's no longer with us, and therefore so we need a dog or a cat or a gun or whatever or a sword or a spear or some kind of bomb or nuclear explosion in order for protection, because Cain killed Abel right out of the garden. And then when you study and beyond a shadow of a doubt and learn the language, the original language, which we have proof of Mount Sinai and Jebulahs in Saudi Arabia, where the split rock of Moses is, and the altar and the 12 pillars and all the footsteps around, besides the Yom Suf, the sea crossing with chariot wheels and all that, the real Mount Sinai. It's easy to check out on YouTube or Google or whatever, that we know that Hebrew was the language, that the Paleo-Hebrew is inscribed on them rocks, but also within that we have the Dead Sea Scrolls. So both modern-day Hebrew, Aramaic font, and Paleo-Hebrew, the picture language, the scrolls are written in. And so you got to understand that, that is where our roots of our belief is. And way it is now, simply, Yodevabe and the fallen angels basically are still at battle, because you have all of the forsaken Canaanites, Horites, Abites, Amalek, all these, Egyptian himself, Ham himself, are enemies of our Savior, who is our Creator, because of defilement. They are still doing their thing their way. And so with that, they take the wolf and create a dog. They take the lion and the tiger or whatever and create a cat. And when you do your study, they are very unclean. And, I am at the point where, the Bible is really simple. You just walk with Hashem in this forsaken world. Yeshua, in the name of Yeshua, and you get to go home. You get to come out of this world where there's all the glory of the Garden of Eden without the Hasatan temptation or the Nakash or the serpent, however you want to interpret it, and you get to be in the glory. Where here, it's everybody's genetically modified to the point of whatever this world means. As I said before, there's no one normal. Basically, there's no one. I mean, I don't know anyone. I'm working on it, that is actually walking with the Creator, trying to get out of this world. Most people are very materialistic and prosperous in this world, trying to make somebody or themselves somebody in this world. And so therefore they need a dog, they need a cat, they need a gun, they need, bug spray, all these things that defile a person around them. I mean, I just walked into Fry's or whatever, and, I'm on my way to a small journey, and after my journey was over, I was on my way back, and I looked up an Irish Spring liquid soap now. And when you know what I know, my studies, that is probably lard in there. I mean, they take the pig and they boil it down. And so, because, the Irish are one of them ones that, they make up their own God or gods, plural. And they serve flesh, and they have swords and guns and, false religion and false laws and uncleanness, and consume massive quantities, as most of the world does, of alternating substances, being booze, drugs, or whatever. And, maybe there was, the coat of many colors was plaid, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was lines, zigzags, or whatever. My point being is that people, I watch the world go by, and I'm not judging it. There's one who does judge. And, Yodevav Elohim, if you don't have Yeshua. But I see people spending money on their dogs, washing them, and as soon as the dog can get his nose to the ground and sniff another dog, they become unclean. Some of them are dragging on the ground. Some of them will roll in the dead right after that. And then some of them, as they're doing their nose things where other dogs have relieved themselves and gone to the bathroom and put their nose on it, these dogs that just were spend tens of dollars on, or hundreds in some cases, are instantly dirty. As soon as they touch, they are defiled in uncleanness, besides they're already unclean. So the dog is not meant to be held in your arms or riding in your car or living with you inside. If Cain had a dog, he was probably outside, guarding the outside world where the animal likes to live. You can domesticate your dog and say, oh yeah, well, he's part of the family. Well, he don't look like you, so I wouldn't know about that. But I do believe the relationship with an animal is okay as long as the animal is able to do what the animal does. And so we people as fallen, who are in idolatry and their uncleanness, by the way, are not don't have the truth. The Comforter hasn't come. So therefore, they don't believe that the Creator is able to protect them and maybe not even save them, because they're very worldly. They're outside of the garden where the fear of death is upon them. So they got to surround themselves by unclean things and become more unclean in order to feel comfortable in this unclean world. And believe me, people, I gave my guns up a long time ago, 1985, and I haven't touched them since. I won't even pick up a gun. I don't, unless it was by accident. My point being is that, and I don't, for the last 18 years, no more animals, dude. And, you know, not jumping on me, not licking me, not putting their nose on me. And that's another thing. These people with the dogs don't control them. They let their dog lick and stick their nose anywhere they want to. And, dude, this when, you know, way back in 2009, we got uh, hours of teaching on you know, vaccines and stuff of animals and all that. And you know, they breathe and it's in their saliva. So that's part of the enemy, those who want you outside the Garden of Eden, slaving their bricks. That's how they keep you defiled, and going to the doctors and selling your inheritance for a medication or surgery, because you're surrounded by uncleanness and you're consuming constantly this genetically modified uh, poison food, trying to stay alive upon this forsaken place. And as believers, once you become a believer, we're in the world, but we're not of it. So everybody, the so-called believers, or that I know, and I know this for a fact through my own observation, who Yeshua is dwelling in me, they are just like the world. They also fear death. They also surround themselves by multiple unclean environments, thinking that, you know, that they're going to heaven, or when Mashiach comes, everything will be all right then. Not too many people are building their treasure in heaven, and so they're mostly on earth. And I have people that I know for a fact that are in the so-called roots movement, or whatever you want to call it, who, believe it or not, do not believe. But they're there because, you know, just in case the Bible's right, the Tanakh, the Torah, the Brit Hadashah, the Testament and the renewed Testament, or the covenant and the renewed covenant, that maybe they'll you know, get in that way. Whatever. Again, I'm telling you that the uncleanness of this world is ruling everybody, because they want you to believe that you have to have protection, that Yudavave, who is Yeshua, is no longer able to take you out of this world or protect you in this world. And so that it's some kind of whatever. You have to become your own uh, battleship or warplane or whatever kind of bomb you want, and you got to have all these animals that will disable people. You know, if in the attack mode. So it's a crazy world, believe me when I tell you. So the depth of this study is that I see that Egypt is everywhere, and we need to come out of her, my friend. The whole Babylonian system is to come out. And if you're finding enjoyment, and if you're trying to stay in this world at this very point of time, you better rewrite the scroll, not rewrite the scroll, re-roll the scroll, and go back to the book of Genesis and see who was exited and who was walked and was taken, and what happened that they got exited from the comfort of being, you know, in the garden. And murder and blood and defilement and thorns and floods and angels and fallen angels and battles and wars and rumors, wars and tsunamis, and you know, now we have AI, defilement everywhere. So it's time to set apart the uncleanness and get into the Zazdik, the righteous. Tehor, I think, is the word for clean. The best you can is to pay attention to what is kadosh and what is pure and clean and unclean, set apart for your temple so you can make it to the kingdom. That's the whole point of the goal, is to make it in that narrow gate, people. And enough of me, but I think I got everything I wanted that was on my mind, is that we're so Egyptianized. Egypt, those who have been forsaken. By the way, uh, the Exodus, whatever, the plagues of Egypt was, clean and unclean. There was his chosen people, and there was the ones who brick building controlled his chosen people. So what side are you going to be on? And then murmuring, complaining, and not accepting the manna from heaven for physical food. Uh, it's nice that he fed them quail. I mean, that's probably better than the chicken. Uh, Even now, the quail are contaminated. Why? Because they've been eating the dog food. And this is the plan of the enemy all along. Uh, the ophers are the flyers of the air, not the walkers of the ground. And but now we fed them uncleanness, so they too are contaminated. So the manna is the key word. Figure it out. And living water, that's the key word. Figure it out. Uh, you know, they're controlling you, and me too. I have trouble over becoming the uncleanness of this world. It's driving me nuts. Because why? Because I didn't read the Bible? No, because I have read the Bible, and Yeshua the Comforter has come, and the Spirit of truth is dwelling in me. And knowing all things, I'm telling you, this is what is knowing. Everybody's fallen for a false way of life and a false curse and a false salvation and a false calendar and a false uh, way of life. We as believers, we're not supposed to be like the world. And so within all that, may Yodavave Baruch bless you, and may Yeshua fill your everlasting heart with his love. It's pure. And within that, may Shimka and Shashun joy and gladness fall upon you too. And it's time to study, people. It's right at the tips of your fingers. So, shalom, shalom, Bukatov.